Yo, what's good? It's your boy Low, man, and I'm back for another episode of The World According to Low. And man, guess what, man? I am coming off the cusp of an amazing weekend, man. Got to go to Essence Fest with my guy Anthony. You see him if you're watching in our Patreon.
Yeah, what's up? If you're listening, you can hear me now too. So
There you go. So he's here with me on camera. And yeah, man, if you don't know, my name is Aloysius Ballard. I am a videographer, creative director. I do a lot of things in media, man, live stream, the works. But one of the things that I love the most about my life is being able to connect with other creative people, just people in general, and help them just enjoy life and get to where they want to be. So that's how we ended up with the podcast, The World According to Low, because I have some amazing people that I surround myself with, Anthony included. And we're going to talk a little bit today about our journey down to Essence Fest, man.
It's the world according to Low. So act like you already know. It's gonna be a good show. It's the world according to Low. So let's sit and grow. It's gonna be a good show.
So I'm excited. Anthony, what do you think? Should we start with the video or should we?
if you want to start with the video, that's great. The video doesn't really explain the entire day, though.
No.
The video is really more about the gear that I was reviewing for the video, and it has some of our trip in there. But even the video doesn't really explain the trip as much as it really needs to be explained. So I guess now that we mentioned it, we'll
give them a glimpse. But I also wanted, for my listeners that are listening to the audio version, tell them where they can watch this video real quick, Anthony.
Well, you can go to youtube.com/AJ Williams Media. That's me. Or search AJ Williams Media on YouTube. You'll find all my stuff. All my social medias are at AJ Williams Media. So if you go to YouTube, search me up. It'll be one of the first videos. It's the video that I just released just now. So if you're listening to this in the future, then maybe not one of the first videos, but you can watch it there still.
Absolutely. So I'm going to pull this up and then we're going to be right back. To you audio people, you'll just hear the recap.
It's supposed to be raining today, but it's actually pretty nice out. I think we'll take advantage of the weather.
You here to pick up somebody for Essence?
I think that's my ride. We found the rain.
We said it was here. We didn't believe it.
We're driving right into it. Maybe no drone shots. Maybe no drone shots today. All right, we made it. It is raining, but it's not too bad. Yo, Lo, tell them what we're doing.
We're popping up on New Orleans legend Tanya Boyd Cannon. She's a part of Essence Fest weekend, and she just gave us an invite to come see some of her preparations. So we're about to pull up on her.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to pay for parking because it's weird.
Oh,
We're looking for a different spot to park because
let me see.
$28 for parking is just ridiculous.
$28 for 4 hours. That's cheap. That's actually cheap.
Okay,
Round and
okay.
side.
We're also doing a little test here. I've got the Tide Optics Cinesoft filter on this lens. This filter is very much like the Tiffin Promise Black today. Just gonna kind of show you what this is, give you my overall thoughts, and you'll see a little bit of Essence Fest while we're here. Me and Lo just had a great experience. We met Kofi. He's been in movies like Queen Sugar, Jump, and some other big movies. But we just had a great experience with Kofi, and that's the point of Essence Fest and festivals like this.
Now, let's say this real quick. We got here, we had to pay for parking. It started raining, right? But even in that, we were able to settle ourselves, be present, and look what was presented to us. And that's what I'm here for, to be recharged by those type of actions, that type of energy. And man, I'm glad me and my boy, we here documenting it all.
Plus, there's a really nice coffee shop downstairs. We'll probably check that out.
5 plus 4. And what do you get? You get a 9-1 running in your. Yo, let's go.
I'm from Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. I'm not from New Orleans.
Come on, Warren Easton marches onward. Warren Easton alum. 97, what year? 07. Come on.
Yeah. Show me some. Show me some. Show me some. Show me some.
Go to AJ Williams Media on YouTube, subscribe first, and then I want you to finish watching that video. Now, more than anything, I want to say this. I love the composition of that video, the way you place those things. And one thing that I'm revamping about the podcast is I really want to spend more time educating people a little bit on how we approach certain things creatively, right? Mm-hmm. So let's just talk about like when you were, we were shooting this, we went to Essence. This was your first Essence.
It was, yeah.
So when you go to a new situation as a filmmaker, what are your thoughts? Like, are you pre-gaming in your head about how you want to document? Like, what are you normally doing?
Well, this one was a little bit different for me, but I usually have a formula that I follow whenever I do event coverage. And that is I get an intro shot that is, 3 to 5 shots that I could use whenever I'm editing. That could be an establishing shot to show where I am. And then I get an exit shot, which is, again, 3 to 5 shots that I can use that will really seal off the put a cap on that event. And those could be outside, that could be the building, it could be the city, it could be like the drone shot that I did actually get in the video, or it could be, if you're at a wedding, it could be the last dance with the husband and wife or them leaving or something like that. You know what I mean? For the beginning and end. And then during the event, I just kind of capture everything. And usually you have to work with the event planner to know what's going to be happening. In this situation, it was my first time going. I didn't know anything about the event at all. And so I was just kind of documenting what we were there doing. I didn't really have a whole lot of say in where we were going or anything. Like, yeah, there were certain things that I wanted to see once I knew they were happening, but I was just a spectator, just like everybody else. And so I was just there and happened to have a camera in my hand. And then, just getting the footage and everything. For me, it was really showing off the lens filter that I had. The thing that made this event different than what I would have normally done for just any regular vlog is that I knew that I wanted to highlight the Tide Optics CineSoft lens filter. Yeah. So I had this lens filter that I was going to do a video for that day anyway. And then you called me and I was like, perfect opportunity to get something different. And so the only thing that I had in my head to do was to show off the filter. Now, there were some challenges as well. We didn't know if we were going to be able to bring our bags into the venue. And so we left all of our camera gear, and I only brought my one camera, my one lens. It's a 11 to 16 millimeter. Now I'm shooting on a Super 35 lens, so it's more like a 16 to 24 millimeter on a full frame. But that's still super wide. Even at the most zoomed in level, it's still pretty wide. So I wasn't able to get any tight shots or close-ups or anything like that unless I was right up on somebody. So that's why all of those shots are wide shots. But I still think it showed off that that lens filter like super well, because you were able to see the highlights, especially the last shot with the fire going off on the stage, the sparks. and the lights in the background and then the shadowy people on stage, you could really see um, how it smoothed over people's skin and how it bloomed the lights in the shot as well. So, that those were my goals. And if the shot looked pretty, looked good, those are the shots that I was trying to get.
Now, I like how you brought that up about being able to try products, test them, being attentive with your shots based on what you um, were setting out to do in your documentation that day, right?
Hmm.
So even though you knew I'm gonna shoot a video today, thankfully, we were able to link up, go down and get this footage, but you were already forming some type of experiment in your head of what you wanted to see about this product. Now, is that also something you do regardless, like if it's a lens or if it's a mic or different things? Like, are there certain parameters you just want to test? Do you like, how do you come up with your measures of what this product can do? Like, what's your strategy with that?
I think it depends on the product for me. There are a bunch of different people out there that test gear and test products. Gerald Undone is a huge one that I follow a lot. And he's super mechanical with the way that he tests things. And if I'm not careful, I could be a Gerald Undone imitator. Like, that's just who I am. I'm very nerdy. I think that we would have a lot in common, actually. I've got a background in engineering, so my go-to is to just do scientific tests and show the results. But because Gerald Undone is already out there, I'm trying to figure out a different way to also share these scientific results, but put my own spin on it. And so I kind of put a vlog spin on this one, but that's not always the case. Sometimes I'll do other tests. Like I did a review on the lens that I'm using right now, actually, and I went out to Fishbone Alley and did my sharpness tests and bokeh tests and all that kind of stuff at Fishbone Alley, rather than using a a meter or something that you would normally use, like a what do you call it, the color board.
Yeah.
So
So
just do different things. If the product needs a technical review, then there will definitely be a technical part in the video. But the main goal for me is to keep people watching the video. You want people to click on the video, and you want people to watch until the end of the video. So when you start the video, you want to grab people's attention. And when you're talking about a product, you want to usually, I broke my own rule in this video, you usually want to tell people what the video is about within the first 30 seconds. And then from there, you want to lead up to the events in order to where people want to see the next thing that's happening until the end of the video. And that's usually the goal for me. In this one, I broke my own rule because it was a vlog style type thing, and began with storytelling. So anytime I can interleave some story in there, I'll break rules for that all day.
well, we had it, like, I like how you mentioned earlier, we did have a full day of just things that we couldn't control. The weather was spotty. We wasn't sure, just being able to take our gear into the venue because no one would respond, like all of those things. And then, but this is why I encourage all creators to not be hermit crabs. You have to learn how to talk and network. You have to learn how to get in and just be resourceful, because shout out to my guy, Johnny Jones, who was working the main center stage as a photographer for the event. Because of my network with him, he was able to discover on the inside track that we actually could bring our cameras in. We just wasn't sure about the bags,
Right.
because they had some verbiage that said it had to be a clear backpack, couldn't be over a certain measurement. So even then, we couldn't control all of the things that we prepared for. So I know with me, it made me revamp how I was going to be shooting and documenting, as well as like, battery life, like all of those things. But um I think that's what makes capturing things exciting, is the unknown variables. What would you say about that? Like being able to be fluid in those moments, because you were like, I immediately threw you like, hey, we're going to see my friend Tanya. She's artist in the city. She's got things going on. We end up meeting Kofi. Like everything was just spontaneous in every regard. Like, is that something you were always comfortable with, or was that something you had to like develop over your career?
It's guerrilla filmmaking, man. My favorite kind of filmmaking is guerrilla filmmaking, is, capturing things on the spot and then throwing it to the editor, who was also me, and telling them to make a story about it. But yeah, man, I love that kind of filmmaking because it's spontaneous, and a lot of times you end up getting really real and raw emotional type things. All of the interactions that we had were real interactions. They weren't set up. That's why all the laughter and the connection in the video is so authentic, is because it's really happening in real time. If you were there live with us, that is exactly what you would have seen.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's everything you see was organically developed. Like we didn't know those girls were going to come up and interact with Tanya like they did, and then they had a deeper connection. They both attended the same high school, and thankfully you were rolling
Mhm.
because I was still trying to get set up, and
Yeah, it's one of the
all of these
benefits of
things.
having the C70 though, because I wasn't rolling when they first came up, and then when they started interacting, flipped the camera on, and I was hitting record within 10 seconds. The C70 doesn't have that much of a warm up time whenever you hit the on button, and so having it set up for that style of filming when you're going to be in this kind of situation is definitely something that you should do. It's just knowing where you are, situational awareness.
So, it's imperative. You can't get away from it. People want to know, what gear were we using and were you using as well? So you see the amazing color in that video. You see all of these things that play. Just break down real quick for me your setup that you were using.
All right. I was using the Canon C70 as my camera body. I had a Takina 11-16 lens on that. The Tide Optics Cinesoft lens filter. It was a 77 millimeter lens thread, so that's the size that I used. And my microphone was the Rode NTG, Rode Video Mic NTG, and that was plugged straight into the camera. And I had the BPA60 battery, so that it would last a long time, and it lasted the entire time that we were there and the ride back as well. With I was really close to the end of the battery once we got back, but it lasted that whole time. So proud of it. Good setup.
Yes. Now the C70, I am loving that camera more and more every time I'm seeing it in use. It didn't seem to wear you out fatigue wise either. You seem to be able to handle it all day with no issues.
Yeah,
Um,
I was feeling it in my back a little bit at the end of the day, but it's not that heavy. It's pretty light. It's not as I don't think it's as light as the Blackmagic 6K, or definitely not as light as the 4K. So, but it's got a little weight to it. It's more um dense than the Blackmagics. That's
yeah.
for sure. But
Now the thing I like about, because I was shooting on the Blackmagic 6K with the Sigma art lens. I was using the 18 to 35 millimeter, no filter. I wish I would have had that one an extra filter so I could have tried it out. It looked beautiful on that Canon, man. I was looking at your shots and that playback. That fire, man, was just it was crisp. It was just nice, man. Every time you hit a light, it just like it just gave it the chef's kiss, man.
Yeah.
But you also had some concerns about it. Like we were in very humid weather,
Mm-hmm.
going from that going into very refrigerated AC.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of challenges did you see in the regards when it came to the filter on that?
Well, it's the same challenges that you would have on a normal lens. You know, if you're in those situations, then your lens is bound to fog up. The thing is, when you've got a mist filter on your lens, sometimes you just think it's the mist filter. You're like, wow, this is really misting in this situation more than I thought it would. And then you look at it and nope, you got fog on your lens, bud. You need to clean that off. And there was one time where it actually fogged up on the inside of the filter, so I had to unscrew the filter and clean it off on both sides and screw it back on. So I don't know. But little pro tip also, if you've got your lens cap in your pocket and there's condensation that builds up, don't put it back on your lens if you're planning on using it soon.
Okay, so somebody's going to ask why not.
Oh, why not? Because what happens is the condensation between, oops, I hit my microphone. The condensation between the glass and the lens cap, when it's on there, it's really easy for the glass to fog up. So it gives it's gonna happen. You're giving it 100% chance to fog, basically.
There you go. And then you don't want to do that over time anyway, because then your glass can actually develop fungus, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't
Never
want
keep it. Never keep it like that. Always make sure to dry off your lens caps before you put it up, because it will develop fungus. And hold on, yeah, because it will develop fungus. And one other thing is that you might actually ruin the coating from the factory on your lens too. So if you're worried about the coating from the factory, sometimes that has to do with sharpness and has to do with distilling lens flares and stuff like that. So, you know, if you want to keep all that, then you don't want to have fungus develop on your lens.
Now, I like to point out too that when we were in the city, I was trying to figure out parking. And I saw how quick you moved. You saw a window of opportunity and you were able to put your drone up in the sky real quick. Like you grabbed an aerial, and by the time I finished paying for parking and stuff, you had already nailed a shot and was ready to roll.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage time when you're in these environments like this? Like when you're running and gunning, when you're, just guerrilla style. How do you determine when you can do things like that? What made you actually like throw the drone up at that time?
So the number one rule of guerrilla filmmaking is that it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. So before I could even ask whether or not I think we had time to get the drone up, I saw a window of opportunity where the rain had stopped. We had parked. You were looking for parking, and I was like, I need to get an establishing shot of New Orleans, because that's the final payoff of that section of the story that I was telling. The drive from Gulfport, we didn't know where we were going yet. So all we knew was we were going to Essence Fest. The viewer doesn't necessarily know where Essence Fest is. So I wanted to finish off with the shot of New Orleans. And so
Beautiful shot.
Yeah. So when we parked, first thing I did was pull out the drone. I didn't know you were going to look for parking at all. So, but I did know that you had to pay for parking because, we'd get a ticket and possibly get towed if not. So I pulled out the drone, sent it up, and I knew I didn't have that much time, so I didn't take it up very high. I just got, to a level where I could get a good shot of this skyline, and got this shot of the skyline, brought it down and packed it up. That's it. As far as how I manage time, again, it's better to ask for permission, or better to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. So
Yeah.
if we didn't have time to do it, I would have just said, I got to get my drone down. Just give me a few minutes.
Absolutely. And honestly, I want people to understand that in these measures, like this could be a shot that can make or break your project. Like you got to be attentive to everything that's going on around you. I remember when I was working with the with Destiny's Child reunion, and I'll never forget Beyonce's team told me there are no small thing. There's no such thing as small details. Capture everything. You never know when a moment is a moment until you need that moment, and it's like you try to get as much as you can. You try to pay attention to all of the things that were going on. I liked even with Kofi. If you had not had your setup ready to roll, man, we wouldn't have captured an amazing moment that is probably something those kids, as well as I will, remember forever
Mhm.
because it was so organic. You rarely see a movie star or a television star of that caliber just being so down to earth and being so approachable. Matter of
Mhm.
fact, he was walking like he was just a regular person in the crowd, and I was, oh my gosh, like you look up and it's like, dude,
Yeah.
I love your work. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Um, but even in that, like, you know, you adapted very well to everything that was being thrown at you. I know with me, I tend to shoot and edit in my mind. Is
Mhm.
that something you find yourself doing as well? Like when you recognize the moment, you saying, "Oh, this is something I'm gonna probably pull out in the editing room."
Yeah, I don't think that, being a solo creator, I don't think that's something that you can get away from. But one thing that I have learned to do now that I was really bad at before is, you know, um, what's it called? Murdering your darlings. So you might have this moment in your head. Like, spoiler alert, if you watch to the end of my video, you may or may not see Kofi singing in the in with the class. So not saying that you will, not saying that you won't,
Just
but that
spit.
happened.
Yeah.
That did happen. And like I captured that moment thinking that that song was going to be in the video, in the montage with Kofi, because it was part of why I loved the moment so much, because he actually participated in the class and was very just present with the kids. And man, it was just a great experience. But if I could have showed that whole thing in the video and kept people's attention with it, then I would have. But that's you know when you're making a video for entertainment value purposes, you got to cut certain things out. So, you know, having something that's in your head that is going to make it to the editing room, and then finally getting there to the editing room, knowing what to chop out and not having that hurt your feelings is something that you develop as you grow as a filmmaker.
So let me ask you this: if you look back and you reassess the day, if you could go back and we can rewind and do it all over again, what are some things you would do differently, and what were some things that you wouldn't change about your approach to that trip?
Um, I think I would have used a longer lens. Um, I have a 17 to 50 millimeter that probably would have done better. It was handheld. The reason I don't use the 17 to 50 millimeter a lot is because I usually put my camera on a gimbal, and the 17 to 50 kind of extends when you zoom it in and out. But since I was handheld, that wasn't going to matter as much. So I probably should have used that lens. Um, that's technical.
Yeah.
As far as the way the story was told, I don't know that I would have done anything different. Just being there, being present with people, and following my instincts is what I did. And I don't think there's anything I could have done any differently, because like we said in the beginning, the day was so scattered and we didn't know what we were going to be doing the whole time. So
I like that. I think sometimes, it's okay to stand in, like what you said, your instincts, like what you did at the time is what you felt was best,
mhm.
and that works. A lot of times new creatives second guess themselves to the point where you don't capture anything because you're stuck
Mhm.
going back and forth. Which is why I love telling anybody, always be documenting, always document. You can leave it on, like there's a ton of footage I'm sure you left on the editing floor that people who see the video will never know you shot, but you still have it. And it's something that you can determine if it's useful or you can use at a later date. But if
Mhm.
you don't shoot, you don't have it.
That's
You know what
true.
I mean?
Yeah. Another little secret, some of that footage that I don't use, I upload to blackbox.global and sell as stock footage. Um, and you can sell you can sell footage that doesn't have people's faces in it, and you can sell footage that doesn't have a landmark that people really recognize. Unless and but and you can sell those pieces of footage, but you have to have a signature from them saying that it was okay to use, basically a model release and a location release.
So what are the requirements for using something like that or selling something like that? Has it be certain resolution, certain files, like what?
Yeah, just certain resolution. I don't think they accept anything less than HD, so 1920 by 1080. And then actually, a 1920 by 1080 still sells really well. So even if you've got an older camera, I would suggest hopping on that train and start uploading some stock footage. Um, you can, if you've got hard drives sitting sitting in your desk that you haven't used in a long time, and it's got a bunch of footage on there that you're not going to use because it's older and 1920 by 1080, throw it up. Somebody else might need it. Somebody else might want it. And you'll never know. I've gotten sales, $400 at a time sometimes, and
Wow.
those usually come because they're exclusive, or buying rights for a movie or something like that. So
Now, is there a certain duration that the clips have to be, or
I think it needs to be 5 seconds or longer. I think it could be up to a minute long. So it ranges.
okay?
Black Box, I like Black Box a lot because you upload it to Black Box and they upload it to all the major stock video websites, like iStock. I
Yeah.
think, I don't know, is
Or what's the other one? Film,
Film Supply.
yeah, Film Supply, and some of those.
Yeah, some of the other ones too, like all the main ones, Adobe Stock. And I
Yeah,
think
major platforms. We Until we
yeah.
get sponsored, we don't want to do free pub.
I got
I don't want to
you.
pub anybody
I
for
got you.
free. But
But
yeah, man, it was a great time, man. I want people to know, like, Essence Festival is a beautiful place for creatives to attend. And I mean, there's tons of festivals around. NAM, a lot of these places. Get out and meet people, man.
for real.
It defeats the purpose of being in this industry if you walk alone the whole time. Like, the part of the journey that I love most is meeting people like you, um, sharing our stories and our experiences, meeting up to do what we did. It was so therapeutic for me to be out shooting with you, just us noticing the same moments and having, like, our perspectives, like, align in how we were taking things in. We got to enjoy that amazing coffee shop, meet the owners, see that beautiful art in there.
Hmm.
And I really want to go back and do a little something with them. I don't want to give our ideas away, but I think I kind of like our little um A&A journeys, adventures.
Yeah,
Triple A, maybe that's what we call it. Triple A.
Triple A.
Yeah, Anthony Aloysius adventures, and we just go literally and just document the most random spontaneous moments, man. But shout out to Mr. Wolf Espresso in New Orleans. If you
Yeah,
are ever downtown New Orleans, man, please do yourself a favor and go check them out.
super cool vibe, great coffee. So like, and it's right next to the World War II museum. So if you're ever going there, definitely hit up Mr. Wolf Coffee because yeah, it's
Park on
just
the
a
street too.
yeah, park on the street. I mean, you're not gonna spend 4 hours there, right?
Yeah, because like man, that parking lot convenience cost in New Orleans. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Mm.
So I need to own a parking lot in New Orleans because I know they're making a ton of money a day, man.
And they don't have to deal with renters.
Exactly. Now, listen, Anthony has been on the podcast before. We were talking about his short film the last time, and I want you to go check out his YouTube because it is there as well. Blood in the Water. It's an amazing film. Just beautiful storytelling. But let's talk real quick about the spectrum of your channel. So on your channel, what all do you cover?
I do gear reviews. I do video tutorials. I work with Adobe products mostly, so Premiere, After Effects, Photoshop, Lightroom, that kind of thing. My main thing is I want to help people make better videos, and so whether that comes through gear reviews, through tutorials, or through inspirational videos like the Blood in the Water piece, that's my goal with the channel.
I love it. I don't want to give it away. I just want you to know that it is a channel that I enjoy thoroughly on YouTube. And I'm not just saying this because Anthony is here. I look at a lot of people on YouTube, and a lot of people are copycats, and they rather copy the format of somebody else rather than take a chance on themselves and be very unique. You can be inspired, but let us see you. I love that you find and you are determining your place in this creative space in this industry by giving us your version of what this looks like, from filmmaking to tutorials to your product reviews. It has its own unique flavor, and it adds value. So I commend you on that, and I encourage you to keep that up. Now, is there anything you want people to know that you're working on or you're about to working on? What you want them to know before we get out of here today?
Yeah, two things. First of all, I was recently in Jackson, Mississippi on set with the Exposing Parchment crew. And so when that comes out in, I believe, early January, early 2023, I'll say early 2023, make sure to watch that. It's a super important piece about the detriment that Parchman Prison is here in Mississippi. If you're in the prison system in Mississippi, avoid Parchman like your life depends on it, because it might. Second, I'm working on actually a feature film with a crew here locally. That's a faith-based film, and that should be wrapping here in 3 weeks or so. I don't know. That should be wrapping production and then going into post-production. So keep your eye out for Sword of the Spirit. You can follow it on Facebook, Sword of the Spirit film or Sword of the Spirit movie on Facebook. So
There you go. And tell them lastly where they can find you on social.
you can find me on social media and on TikTok, TikTok sometimes, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at AJ Williams Media.
Well,
All
over AJ Williams
all,
Media.
yeah, all one word.
All one word. Hey, look, Anthony, man, I appreciate you taking the time to come recap with me about Essence and to share that amazing video that you captured, and we had a great time, man. And y'all tell us where y'all think we should go next, man. Anthony says I say something in the video that may be our next road marker.
Yeah, I mean, you said New York. I mean, I know it was a slip of the tongue, but
Yeah,
New York sounds fun.
maybe we could even hit up B&H Photo, man.
That would
I've
be
always
awesome. I'd
wanted
love to go there.
to do that and go see that Disneyland worth of gear
Hmm.
that they
Go
have
hold
there.
a go hold an Alexa in my hand.
Yeah. Um, but I think there's a ton of things we could do in New York, even, taking a ferry or doing a lot of things. Helicopter ride around New York would be nice as well. Uh,
Hmm.
maybe
Meet up
we can
with
get
Alan
somebody
Palander.
yeah, we can maybe get a sponsor for that. If you're listening and you want to, sponsor us, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we take all forms of payment. Like
If any of my boys at Rock Nation are watching this, you can sponsor us to come out there and
yeah.
maybe we can watch some of the Exposing Parchment film.
Hey,
Or
sounds good
piece.
to me.
I
Or
don't
at
know.
least attend the premiere. Are they premiering it
I don't
in
know
New
if they're premiering it or not. It's going to be aired on History Channel, I
Okay.
think. I forget where it's going to be aired, but it's going to be aired on television. It's a series, like a 6-episode mini series. So
I'm sure you're gonna do some type of content surrounding once it releases about your experience, right?
possibly it's possible. I did document while I was there.
I
Not
know you,
sure how
man.
much I can share. So
Yeah. Y'all gotta this is why you have to subscribe, man. I don't bring you people that I don't believe in and that I don't fool with. So I want y'all to really hear me when I say the people I present to you are people that are literally in the world according to Low. Okay. And on that note, man, we're gonna get out of here, man. I thank my Patreon, the loyalty crew, man. Thank y'all. Our community is growing. Listen, I don't want to have to wait till it's thousands of people or greater. I want to appreciate each and every one of you that sign up and support me. It really makes a difference. It's the thought that counts. But yeah, man, we're bringing you more situations like this where you're learning from creatives like Anthony and myself and growing your skill set, man. So y'all do me a favor, loyalty crew, and anybody listening. Y'all go support Anthony, subscribe to his YouTube, leave a comment on some videos, tell them what you learned. And yeah, man, until the next time, we're going to get out of here. Peace.